Parents who haven't submitted all the necessary documents for the 2022 academic year have one last chance to do so. And according to the Gauteng Education Department, there are close to 60,000 parents who haven't supplied all the required documents. Well, they're now been given between the 16th and 31st of December to do so. And for more on this, we're joined now by Gauteng Education spokesperson, Mr. Steve Mabona. Mr. Mabona, thank you for your time and good morning. I mean, we've been here before. We've had a conversation around parents knowing they have to supply all necessary important documentation for their children, obviously for grade 1 and 8, timelessly being the key word. But I understand you're sitting with the 60,000 as a number of parents who still haven't done so. I mean, what do you think went wrong here? Where's the challenge with uploading, do you think?
Yes, good morning, Tumelo and Gareth. Look, and our viewers. Look, our challenge is the proof of residence. That's there we have a bone of contention because you will find documentation that says one stays at a certain residence, only to find that the correspondence is not actually what it's supposed to be, and that's where there was a contention of between the schools and the parents. So some ended up not submitting proof of residence because we must be clear and specify that the document that is quite key for us to place you is proof of residence. So that's why we are opening from the 16th to the 31st for parents to submit those proof of residence so that we can then be in a position to place them. Because remember, when we place, we look at the proximity between the home and the school. Yeah. So that's how your feeder zone will then be assisting us to place. So that's why it's a critical document for us to use.
So I understand that you've given parents a grace period, the 16th to the 31st, where they can, make these, or rather supply these documents and make sure that all documentation required is submitted. How will that then sort of, impact or affect the placement of the grade 1s and 8s? So that give you some sort of a deadline that you have to now extend in terms of your placement?
No, because when we look at the number of those that we've already placed, we are comforted that the 57,000, probably it's not everyone that will be saying, yes, I really still need the space, because some will then opt for private schooling and then go there. So that's why when we said on Friday, we have over 4,700, those that we still need to place, we didn't consider the 57 because we are not sure whether all of them will then be coming and say, I need a space.
Right.
So, but then the 4,700 on Saturday, we were at about 3,000. So we are hopeful that this week we should be done with those that qualify and they're supposed to be in our system. And moving forward, we'll then look at those that did not submit your necessary, very critical document, proof of residence, so that then we place them.
So that as it stands, how many children have already been placed by the Gauteng Education Department?
Out of the over 278,000, those that qualify, on Friday, we were sitting at about 273,000, minus the 4,700 that we said we are finalizing. But on Saturday, when I checked the figures, we were at about 3,000 that is remaining, which we will then finalize this week and make sure that we place those there, and we'll entertain those without documents. And then maybe next year we will then also accommodate those that will be saying, I was not aware that this process is underway, those that will be seeking for late registration. But that when we open those, we only open for schools that can still accommodate, because it would not be of use for us to open meanwhile, we're not going to be in a position to accommodate.
Yeah, because I think you've mentioned even a bit earlier on when we had a conversation, I think some time before, that when that period comes, it's no longer about, the parents' preference, right? It's about which school has, capacity to accommodate their child at the time. So that's where the late submissions might be a bit tricky for parents, that you have to actually wait, and see if your child will be placed in that school or not. But also, before I let you go then, you did mention that you would be then opening up in the beginning of next year just for those late applications. Do you have dates so far? Not that I'm encouraging parents to wait for last-minute late applications, but when do you sort of like see or foresee that you might be opening up at that time for applications next year?
No, normally we will try by the first week of January, but we'll confirm the date at the later stage after, assessing on what we have after all those that still have to submit proof of residence. When they're done with that process, then we should be in a position to tell that now this is how we're going to be managing. Right. Remember, we will not go to your normal recess like everyone else. We will still be managing the system, make sure that at least we can still make decisions so that next year when we come back, we know how we're going to be managing. But we need to emphasize to parents that capacity is our challenge, because some parents will say, no, the system is not working, the system is frustrating us. It's not the system, it's the capacity. Because some are even saying, why don't we go back the way we used to apply? And they will ruin the day they suggested that if we can go back there. Because initially you would not have a recourse. Right. You would just go to a school and look at you and then they say the school is full and you don't have a recourse. So we don't want to go back there, but we just wish to say to parents, we are trying by all means to accommodate all of them.
Well, I appreciate you also speaking to us this morning, Mr. Steve Mabona from the Gauteng Education Department. Thank you for your time this morning. Remember, of course, if you haven't, secured your child's place in school in grade 1 or 8, you have from the 16th until the 31st to do so.